clicked. Okay, we are clicked. And, I have to tell you, I was on a podcast recently. I was the producer behind a podcast for, the topic is the Catholic Church, which is interesting. And both the guest and the host both said, oh, yeah, when they did that, it was crack. And I said, what? And I had to ask my client, I said, what does that mean? She goes, well, I think that's our way of not using bad words, but still saying that we're frustrated. So instead of crap, they use the word crack, which I thought was interesting. But so we are live. We are clicked. How are you, VLynn?
I'm doing pretty good, Kathleen. The road to recovery I'm on it. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Recovery is kind of a strange thing, whether it be physical recovery, emotional recovery, trauma recovery. We can think we're doing great. And then all of a sudden something just kind of hits us upside the head. And, my recovery for me, when I hear that, it's my 39 years of being sober. And I know that I had certain expectations of where I was supposed to be. And I see this in business too, where people think, oh, I've been in business for 2 months, so I should be making $10,000 a month or whatever it may be. Instead of saying, okay, have I laid the foundation so that when the storms hit, I can handle that? I know for me in recovery from drugs and alcohol, 5 years, I thought I should be at a certain place. And in my mind, I wasn't there. I was actually further, but I didn't realize it. 10 years, 15 years. So you have these mile markers. And what we're going to talk about today is how you set your foundation up in business and with your visibility so that when the winds of change come, that you're prepared for it. So did I hit that one on the target?
You did. You did. Right. And I just want to piggyback on and bring this aspect in. It's really a key point to see your business going forward. Because if you've got those milestones, like you mentioned, I mean, I've got a couple myself with, just May 10th was my son's 44th birthday. And he's been gone now. This would have been 10 years. This was 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so milestone and, me in the physical recovery after surgery and, hospitalization behind this blood clot, I'm thinking, wow, here comes another one. And then, how do you manage all of that? And without seeing your business ahead, it's hard to manage them because the next thing you know, you're on them and you're dealing with them and you don't have a good line of sight for your what's next. And I love that about how we kind of manage and help our clients to see the forward movement in their business with always thinking about the next thing. And it's really a key point, getting into what any strategy that's going to move you forward is all about, is seeing it and setting it where those milestones for your business are, but you can also take into account those personal milestones.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's, the old adage and the old metaphor of like when you plant a seed and you plant a baby plant, you don't keep digging it up to see if it's growing. You just let it grow. And just in the past weekend, I did just a boatload of flowers in my garden. And the temptation for me is to look at it every hour and say, well, how come you're not growing? Well, it will grow at the rate that it needs to grow as long as I water it, as long as I till the soil, things of that nature. And really, that is how it is in business. And unfortunately, we've become such an instant gratification society that people want that instant gratification. They want their rewards right now. And I actually just did a blog post on my Vegan Visibility website where I talked about the impatience that people have, and that also the fraud that's going on, and people are buying into the fraud because they have that promise of you're going to get that big reward quickly. A great example are the people on social media who put a certain persona on and then they ask for money and in a way that's very inappropriate, and people are giving them money and they're like getting scammed. And it's because people want what those people have, which is the vanity numbers. And one part of social media is really catching yourself in the vanity numbers. And what that simply means is your ego says, oh, I should have 100 likes a day on this post, or I should have 500 connections, or I should have 1,000 follows, or whatever it may be. And for me, I would rather have a smaller number of very quality connections rather than thousands upon thousands upon thousands that couldn't care less about who I am. So I would encourage people to really look at what drives you online, and are you laying a proper foundation?
That's really great because as we think about leveraging social media, it's really leverage. You have to know where you are, what your leverage tools are, pick the smartest one to use, and then utilize it. And when you know what your tools are, you can, in fact, do that. And one of them is just the whole strategy piece, right? Know where you want to play because you know where your target audience is playing. If they're playing in Instagram and you're in LinkedIn, there's a disconnect.
Right.
So really understand where your target market is playing so that you can play where they are and attract them, get their attention, and even engage. And that's part of it too. Where your target audience is active, you want to engage. I remember I had a client one time and she's like, well, I've got this Facebook group and it's not doing anything. It's like, well, where else are you playing?
Right.
Well, nowhere. Well, that's not going to work because people aren't going to magically find you. You have to go out and show yourself. There's a saying, show yourself friendly and you will get friends.
Interesting.
And that is the key to leveraging social media, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, right? You got to show yourself as someone who others want to connect with. Show yourself as friendly and you will gain friends.
Well, I'd like to add to what you just said, because as you were sharing, I was thinking about the clients that we work with and how we use imagery a lot. And for example, with one client, she works with women over the age of 50, and it's all about health and fitness and eating plant-based, and very clear on who her market is. And she's going to be 60 years old very soon, and you would never know it. I mean, she's absolutely amazing in her health. And as we were putting the post together for social media with our team, we had to talk to them and make sure that they understood that young, pretty girls for this market are not the fit. And nothing wrong with young, pretty girls other than if it's not a fit for your market. And so we said, we want to see more mature women who are fit, who are vibrant, and it doesn't mean that they're in that bikini bod. It means that they fit the criteria of who her market is. With other people that we have talked with, who they say they want a more diverse market, but everything they do looks the same as it looked a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And it's very, if you will, vanilla. And if you say you want diversity, well, by golly, yeah, do you love that? By golly, gee whiz. Look at the images that you're using. Are you using people of color? Are you using people in the LGBTQ community? Are you using women? Are you using young men, old men? So really look at who you say you want to attract, and does the content that you put out there really match that? I'll give you a great example with the client that has the Catholic podcast. Hers is all about, it's called Your Radical Truth. So you can well imagine that she gets some kind of edgy topics. Well, the woman that she just interviewed recently, the episode just went live. They talked about, this woman has been in a 30-year relationship with her wife, and she was a nun. She was sexually abused by a priest and a nun. And, Your Radical Truth got real radical. And if the host of the show wants to attract a unique market, she has to be willing to showcase unique guests. So you have to be really careful when you're doing social media that you are being aware of what you're putting out there, and does the imaging and the wording match what you say that you want.
Love it. Love it. And just to take that a step further, you've mentioned the podcast piece and, tools. Podcast guesting, podcast hosting is a tool to leverage social media with. Web TV show hosting and guesting, blog articles that you mentioned, promoting value-based offerings of others. These are all tools that you can
Mhm.
use to leverage how you are seen out on these social media platforms. And because you want to create a strong presence, you really have to be, like Kathleen said, focused on what your message is, what your mission is, and what you're bringing to the table. A lot of times, and I'm guilty, the shiny object syndrome will have you talking about everything,
Guilty.
anywhere.
Absolutely.
Ah, and it's kind of okay if you can bring it back to your message, but a lot
Right.
of us don't know how to do that, and so it gets lost, and we get lost, and we're over here and we're over there, and we're wondering why nothing's happening. We're trying to leverage all of these really cool tools, and what we finally have to come to grips with is there's some real value in thinking the one thing, and the one thing being, what is your core message? And your core message coming into your core values and leading out from there,
Right.
you have the opportunity to talk about quite a few things in the midst of it, because you never lose your overarching and undergirding message.
Ooh, I like that. Overarching and undergirding. I like that. And it's so true that you wanna keep to the forefront what is your primary message, who is your market, and how do you serve them. And you were reminding me of when I first started keynote speaking, and I had a mentor who really worked with me on my messaging because I tend to be a little ADHD, and I can go here and I can go there. I can entertain myself on stage, and it's like, wait a minute, they paid you to give a message, so you better be clear on what that message is. And one of the things that she had told me was keep sticky notes around the podium so that you can remember why you're there. Because sometimes we get so caught up in what we're doing, we do forget what we're even doing. I mean, that happens to everybody. And it was, like it could be the topic that you're presenting on is to periodically bring that into the conversation. The company that you're working with, bring that into the conversation. And look in the audience and say, okay, who's in the audience that I need to match their energy so that they feel a part of this? Because so often people create in a vacuum and they never really find out what their market wants. And so it's really important as you're doing your social media growth that you really survey your audience and find out, are we even hitting the target with this? Because you can be creating amazing, amazing stuff and it's not falling right. It's just like it's falling on deaf ears and deaf and blind eyes, if you will. And I remember again many years ago with my mentor Tom Antion, he said, a lot of people are so worried about pretty that they forget the message. He goes, I would rather have ugly. He goes, I won't purposely create ugly, but I would rather have something that's not perfect that really matches with my audience rather than something so beautiful and so perfect that people are afraid to touch it.
That is so key. And I love it because most people start off thinking it's got to be perfect, right? And you get to know yourself a lot when you are in business, whether or not you're a perfectionist, whether or not you are ADHD, whether or not you are someone who just wants to fill the gap with, I don't want to say non-value,
Right.
but less value, to your point
Hmm.
of,
Hmm.
ugly versus the pretty with nothing.
Right.
I remember talking to somebody, interviewing somebody, and at the end, one of the comments was, "That was a lot of pretty talk, but I didn't get anything real
Mm,
from
mm.
the guest."
Right. Right.
And I think that that is so key. And it also comes back to, what is your core message? Because when you have that nailed down, you don't stray far from it. Everything that you do, everything that you say, everything that you're about comes back to that core message. And when you are showing yourself friendly, going to other people's pages and posting value add on their pages, you don't have to give yourself away, I mean, or hold yourself back. You don't have to hide.
Right.
as you're doing that. You can say, I'm a whatever doing this, and I love this conversation because it means a lot to me. My core values match this, whatever you can do or say to add value in that group or on that page, or, with that connection. It's key when you can tie those together.
Yes, and I'm chomping at the bit here because there's something I want to add into that is about adding value. Don't go into other people's groups and start just sell, sell, sell. It's really irritating to a group owner if somebody comes in and they join the group and immediately they're, oh, we've got this flash sale going on, we've got this, we've got that. It's like, what about adding value to the group first? You'll get a lot further. And another thing about social media, I see this on LinkedIn a lot, where it was my birthday recently. And, I have to say that it was a great day. And actually my screen just went dark for a second. That was it. It's like, wow, is that a message from above? But quite seriously, it's like I got all these birthday wishes, which was wonderful. But there were the occasional, oh, let me help you take your business to the next level. And they didn't know anything about my business. And they could have read my profile to find out. And I said, well, what did you have in mind? Oh, I can help you to ramp up your business, and I can help you to do this, that, and the other. I said, well, actually, if you would have read my profile, you would have seen that that's what I do. And the one thing I love using my age with is I can tell somebody, well, I'm actually close to retirement, so I'm really not interested. And then I had one person go, now, have you planned out your retirement? And what are you doing in your retirement? It's like, I don't even know you. Why am I going to give you this information? So what really the point of today is to lay that foundation. Know the people that you're a good fit for. Know the people who are a good fit for you. Put some time and effort into what you do. Look at the imagery that you're using. Look at the wording that you're using, like the word crack. I mean, and I'm not talking crack cocaine. I'm talking crack instead of crap, the word. And that was a word they both used. And I was like, I never would have known. But apparently that's a thing. And so you have to know what the thing is if you're going to communicate with that market.
The thing and your thing, your one thing, your one foundational thing. It's key in everything that you do to create visibility so that you can make a bigger impact in the world.
Absolutely. And, for the people that might just be listening, I don't think we even introduced ourselves. I'm
Oh
Kathleen.
my gosh.
And yeah, I mean, some people, they might be doing something in the background or this might be playing in the background. VLynn, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself and what it is you do and what we do?
Well, I'm VLynnHawkins. I have been a digital marketer now for going on 15 years. And I love this space. It really has helped me to align with my geekism. And, I am what the Wealth Dynamics profile calls a mechanic star. So I love the framing of things, right? I love taking something and building it into something bigger, better, just building. And for us, that's kind of what I do within our company. And as Vegan Visibility Productions, we work with clients who are looking for that added visibility, that greater visibility, so that they can make a bigger impact. But we do it in specific ways, right? Our core values, our overarching and undergirding message is about collaboration. How can we do that as a collaborative effort to not only help one person, but help several at the same time? So we do virtual summits. We're doing a book launch, an anthology and book launch. We're doing digital products. We're doing virtual conferences. We're doing a lot of things that have that collaborative flair, because we can't do anything alone.
Right.
And anybody that has told you they've built their business all on their own, they told you lie.
They told you a lie. They told you they had to have some support. I know of nothing of nobody, I should say, that has built a successful business all by themselves. It's like you have to have some support, whether it's your tech team support from a software product that you use, whatever it may be, but usually they have a support team.
Yep. And we are, in a lot of instances, that support team. In other instances, we're the consultant. And in other instances, we are the go-to people that bring everything together so that we work with the client's team as well.
Correct.
We actually, our goal is, again, foundationally, to help others to gain the visibility so that they can make a bigger impact in the world. And when they do, we do.
Absolutely. So with that, I'm Kathleen Gage, and I'll save my intro for next week. But I am co-founder of Vegan Visibility Productions, and thank you for tuning in today. And if you're listening after the fact, thank you for listening in and watching. VLynn, what's your final parting word?
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're really focused on getting our message out there. And one of the ways that we can do that very effectively, and with your help and with your sharing, is by you subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube, Vegan Visibility Productions. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.